Um, Srinivas, I think he joined day before, I guess.
Yeah, since yesterday he's not there.
Yeah, yesterday he didn't join because the meeting ID already changed.
Lakshmi, I think you can start.
Yeah, starting now. Let me start recording. Okay. Thanks for the patience. So today let's start talking about inbound integration. So before talking about inbound integrations, let's have a quick revisit of what we have discussed till now. So initially we have seen how the Fusion application access begins with. It means what URL we get from the Oracle. Once we get the URL, um, administrator will get the URL with one username and password, and administrator will go ahead uh, and enable the offerings, and administrator also go ahead and create the implementation users, and implementation users go ahead and create the structures, enterprise structures. Enterprise structures in sense the legal employers or ledgers or whatever they can do manually, going ahead and creating the structures, they will go ahead and do that. So the setups they will do basically. So example, if you want to implement Fusion Accounting Hub, typically we go to offerings. From offerings, uh, uh, we go navigation again. Typically we go to offerings and we choose what offering we wanted to implement, and whatever offering we wanted to implement, we will choose that. Example, if we choose workforce deployment as a HR implementation, we choose that, opt-in futures, and they go to the setups. If they go to workforce deployment, the main setup, then these are the set of functional areas that they have to implement, and each functional area will have list of tasks to be done, all tasks. So some are required and some are optional. So typically required tasks are mandatory. We have to begin implementation from here till to the end. Out of these implementation, what are marked as asterisk, they have to implement it for sure. And reminding and in that functional areas, what was mentioned as required tasks, that task has to be executed or task has to be completed. One of this is run user and role synchronization process. It is nothing but running the import and import user and to click this process. It is same as running the import user and role security data job. Sorry, it is nothing but a driving latest LDAP changes job, which we have already scheduled to run every day. So it will do that. And typically with the architecture here, basically how it works, the functional user or functional implementer, whoever it is, they will work with us together, and basically we define what task has to be completed based on the Oracle provided steps, and we'll keep doing our stuff. Okay, and we have some other optional tasks as well. So um, managing the application security preferences, import users and roles into application security is nothing but it is another job basically which we have to run. We have I told that it's nothing but it will open up, import user and roles application security data, basically which has to be run daily basis. I was telling that it is another important thing to be done. So we are going to schedule this job daily and send LDAP changes job daily and retrieve LDAP changes job daily, and so that the security will be in sync between all the systems. We have seen that. So what I intend to say is, once we decided for the implementation and what are the tasks has to be completed, if you see the order, initially we created the security. Security is more important. At this phase itself, we have to create the implementation user, and also we have to run the minimum security processes. See here, create implementation users, and then we have to create data role for implementation users. Data role for implementation users, nothing but giving all access to the implementation users. So typically how does it work is, if you are creating an implementation user, by default the implementation user will have every screen access and every administrative data access. So going further, if you go ahead and create any enterprise structures in the system, then if you wanted to give data access to that enterprise structures as well, typically how the implementation team will do, they actually create a data role which will give view all access for everything in the system. If it is HR system and if it's finance system, all the ledgers access to the respective job role. Typically they will keep that one role aside for HR with all objects view access, and similarly for finance all data set access, and they'll create those two roles and keep it aside for safer side for only for implementation users. So that's all security. Once security is done, what is the next step? Typically we have to create the enterprise structures. So creating enterprise structures or legal structures or organization structures or financial reporting structures, so there are many things to be done. Okay, if you think about organization structures, in the organization structures they have to create many things. They have to create business unit, they have to create a business unit assignment, and if in legal structures they have to create legal entity address, many things. And if you go to workforce structures, in the workforce structure they have to create grades, they have to create jobs, they have to create organizations, they have to create locations, all the stuff they have to create as part of the implementation thing. So now think of like this: if it is something they can manually configure in the system. So example, let us say they have to create a location. How do they create a location? They go to manage location screen, and then the manage location screen, they will just go ahead and create a location here. They'll just click on create, and then they will give the location name, location code, whatever required details are. They'll go ahead and create the location name, location 1. I'm just giving some location as active, and remaining fields, basically functional team decides what are the importance of the field, and if we have functional idea, then we will know what is the importance of that. Then location 1, and if we want we can give longitude, latitude and longitude, and we can give the address. So we can give any valid zip code, then automatically it will populate okay, so I am giving some random zip code, and then it's not. Yeah, this geography structures mapping may not be right. Okay, something I have given, and then yeah, and we will save it. Typically, if our company has, okay, something I have to give. If our company has some 30 locations or 40 locations or whatever number, so we can create manually like this, right? If you have a fresh instance, then what if your company has 150 locations? Okay, what if your company has, let us say, 50 locations in each country? Okay, so similarly, think of legal entities, or think of business units, think of divisions. In the work structures level itself, if we have more number of data has to be loaded, you cannot go here and manually keep creating like this. Okay, there should be a way to do the bulk upload of the information into the system. Okay, it may not only be the locations, I'm talking about any enterprise structures or any information that to be loaded into the system. that has to be loaded in bulk, right? So here we have seen the legal structures. If it's a legal structures, then we have to define the legal entity information. If we have more number of legal entities, we have to create them in bulk. Similarly, enterprise profile, typically enterprise profile, nothing but where we create geographies. Geography is nothing but if you see, when I was trying to enter the address, I was actually selecting the zip code. How do you get the zip code? How do you get that? How do you get that zip code, country, city, all that stuff? How it works is typically in US and Canada, Oracle give that data through Vertex. Vertex is a vendor in US and Canada. What Oracle has a license with that, and Vertex actually provides the updated zip codes, geographic structures from uh, um, Vertex will automatically send the information to Fusion every month. So every month, basically what happens, we will have one maintenance activity happens at third week of Saturday, I guess. So at night, they will actually take an outage for 15-20 minutes to just upload all the geographic structures into the Fusion application. Okay. What if out of US and Canada? If it is out of US and Canada, then that has to be something we have to maintain. Okay, so example, if it is India, India will have a structure. India will have a address, district, state. If we go even further, a village, district, state, country. That is a hierarchy. In case of US, hierarchy is city, state, and country, and zip code. Okay, so for the US and Canada, as I said, the geography mapping, the graphic structure will be maintained by the Vertex itself. If it is out of US and Canada, that is something has to be maintained by ourselves. So that we have to create a geographical mappings, manage geography. We have to create the hierarchy. How many hierarchies we have to have in this country, and what are the hierarchies we have to have in this country? And for those hierarchies, loading of the data. I mean, how do we know what are the zip codes, country, states, cities, whatever we have in the respective country? So we have to load that manually, unless Oracle has given another solution called only for 15-20 countries, I guess. The count might be more now, something called Nokia validation services. Okay, Nokia is actually another vendor who will provide uh, uh, the hierarchies actually. In every country, the city, state, zip code, whatever, those hierarchies will given by the Nokia, and we can use that Nokia vendor as well to upload the information from Nokia to Fusion automatically. There is one way for that. Okay, so basically they cover in the functional classes. So I know some of you have been to the functional classes already. So did you got the chance to cover those things, loading the geographies in US? I mean, in any country, running the Nokia service.
No, Lakshmi.
No,
Okay, so you didn't look at that. Okay, so then I will take a separate class for that. It takes one complete class to cover that, how to load the geographies out of US and Canada. So how to create geographical structures, how to create the mappings, and how to run the Nokia services. So that is something actually which out of the box we can do actually. It's nothing like we have to send a file and load the data. So it won't come in as part of inbound integrations, but that is a separate topic which actually has to be executed within the Fusion application itself. It's all the functional setups. I'll cover that. So my intention is whatever structures we are.
we can actually we can use the HBDA loader also to do that, also, right?
Yes, we can
It does
use.
not require any.
We can use the not FBA loader actually. The process for loading geographics is different. So the process for loading geographies is we have to create a different CSV file for that, and we have to come to the geography interface data and load it. Basically, this different way of doing that. It won't be through FBL actually.
What
So
is
I will
this
cover.
FBA loader, Lakshmi? What is this FBA loader?
So file-based loader or file-based data import is one kind of an inbound integration process actually. So I'm going to talk about that. So through which you can load the data in bulk into the system. So that is what a file-based loader
Achha.
or file-based data import. So that's what he was saying. Okay. So I will talk about that in a while. So, and again, when we load the data in a file format into for the geographies, that will come only when, if it is not US and Canada, is vertex. And for 15, 20 countries, whatever I was talking about extra, that is a Nokia service, the Nokia vendor is there. Apart from the 15, 20 countries, if you wanted to implement geographical validations for any other countries, then we have to manually load the data. So that is the third case, basically. That is the point of time we have to get the data through a file. We required a hierarchy, and we had to load the data into the Fusion applications. If it is, if we need to implement address validations apart from this North America and those 15, 20 countries, whatever I was talking about. So I will talk about those that functional setups in a separate class, probably not now. Okay. Right. So for legal structures, as I said, legal entities, if it is 1 or 2 or 15 or whatever, we can do it manually. What if you wanted to do in bulk? So the loading of data will come into the picture even at the stage of creating enterprise structures. We get that. Once we create the enterprise structures, we have to load the employee data or customer data or supply data, whatever data, that anyway we have to do it in a bulk load. We cannot do one by one. Anyway, that thing will come up. Okay. And similarly, creating the users, right? If we once we have enterprise structures created, what we need to do next, we have to load the employee information. Once we load the employee information, every employee should have a user account, and every user will have a set of roles to be assigned. And how do we load the data in bulk, right? So even that place itself, we have to load the data in bulk. Okay, so all these things. So immediately once you implement the security, the immediate thing start for us in any implementation is nothing but inbound integrations. Okay, so inbound integration will start immediately, and let us see how many ways we can load data into the Fusion applications, and what kind of methodologies we have, and we will go with one by one with different use cases. Okay, so now it is a diagram where we have left side, we have the Fusion applications, and the right side, we have our in-house application or any third-party application of our company, right? And when we decided to implement the Fusion applications, typically we have to move all the data from our legacy application or in-house application into the Fusion applications. Okay, so how many ways we can load data into our Fusion applications? Okay, so there are many ways. If it is low to medium volume of data, then Oracle, I'm just mentioning it as low to medium volume of data. The reason is whatever data we can whatever data objects we can load here, those data objects may or may not be supported in the high volume of data. So I will cover that, where and what scenarios, what objects are supported in each type, and then we can decide based on that. Okay, so in overall integrations in the Fusion application, in more integrations, this is how the total variations are. The first one, when it's a low to medium volume of data, typically we use spreadsheet data loader. Spreadsheet data loader is nothing but where Oracle will give a provision to load the data in the Excel sheet. Okay, how do you get the Excel sheet? We can get the Excel sheet, we can download the Excel sheet from the Fusion application itself and do your modifications and upload the Excel sheet back to the Fusion applications. That's nothing but a spreadsheet data loader. Okay, to have a spreadsheet data loader, we should have ADF BI. It's a plugin. ADF data integrator plugin, we need to have ADF-DA plugin to load any data in the form of a spreadsheets. We're going to talk about ADF-DI in the next couple of slides. Okay, that is number one. And this spreadsheet loader, there is something called specialized data loaders. Even the specialized data loaders is also a case where actually we use spreadsheets to load the data. But the mechanism of loading the data is different. That's why we said we told it's a specialized data loaders. Okay, so the specialized data loaders, basically most of times what happens is the specialized data loaders will be available within the same screen. Example, one kind of example, I was going to create the location here. When I went to create the location here, I clicked on the okay, let's say manage job. If I want to create a job similar to how I created the location, what I did, so I went to click on create here. Okay, I can click on create here and create the job. Similarly, in the same screen, sometimes what Oracle will do, Oracle will give something called create in spreadsheet. So when I have say something in create in spreadsheet, then I would call it as a specialized data loader. Okay, so a specialized data loader where within the screen itself, I can open the spreadsheet and enter the data and upload the data back to the system. Okay, so basically spreadsheet data loader, typically when I talk about specialized data loaders, also it's nothing but is loading the data in the spreadsheets, but the methodology of loading the data in the Fusion applications is different. That's the difference between that. Okay, and
so specialized data loader in the sense means we are going to get a flexibility to load the data from the application itself to the Excel sheet. That is specialized data loader.
From same data, some same
Screen.
object. Yes.
Yeah. Acha, okay. That is specialized.
Okay. Same screen means same business object.
Yeah.
And yeah, and spreadsheet data loader, basically that's different. I mean, we have different ways of doing it. I'm going to talk about that. And in both the cases, here, both are spreadsheets. Okay. Next, when I say high volume of data, bulk loading of data, and ongoing maintenance of the data. If you wanted to load the data every night, or if you don't want to load the data whenever it is available, and if you wanted to send the data across multiple systems, example, you have the e-business suite and you have the Fusion application, and you wanted to move the data from this system to that system and that system to this system. If that is the case, basically we have to use this file-based data loading. So typically in financial and supply chain management, they call it as a file-based data import. In HR and HR systems, they will call it as HCM data loader. So both are more or less same functionality, nothing but it is actually loading the data in a file format. They will create a data in the file in a predefined file format. When I say predefined file format, that file has to follow the rules what Oracle Fusion has defined. As per the rules defined by the Fusion, if we create a file, then that file can be exported, can be uploaded to the Oracle Universal Content Manager. That is a middleware component. Once you upload the data in the Universal Content Manager, then we can invoke the schedule, the ESS jobs. That ESS one job is to load the data into the interface table, and another job is to load the data from interface table to the base table. So it's actually a real the real mechanism of loading the data into the base tables: file, interface table, and the base table. So, and it is file, job 1, job 2. So basically that's the way we load the data into the Fusion applications. So if you wanted to go, if you need to load the data in that in the high volumes and ongoing maintenance from one system to other system on a frequent basis, then we have to go with this file-based data loader, and we will be using this file-based data loading very frequently, and it will be taking the most part of our inbound integrations. Okay, so when I talk about this file-based data loading, I'm going to take 1 or 2 sessions on HCM data loader and 1 or 2 sessions on the file-based data import. We'll be covering this both the use cases along with the examples. Okay, and next thing is automation of data loading. So I should not say that automation of data loading. So I will modify that. Basically, what does it mean? Here, when I say file-based data loading, I said we have to create a file, upload to the Fusion applications, and then invoke first job to load the data into the interface tables, stage tables, and kickstart the second job to load the data into the base tables. So if you want to automate all these processes, means uploading the file, kickstarting the first job, kickstarting the second job, if you wanted to do all these 3 things automatically, no manual intervention. Okay, so let us say first example, uploading the file to the Universal Content Manager. Universal Content Manager is something resides in the cloud, and it is not a SFTP server. It is nothing like something you can FTP it. It is nothing but you can write a shell script or any other script to FTP the file to the server. Then how do you send the file to the Universal Content Manager? If you want to automate that, because that's what happens in any project, right? If you want to interact with the cloud system on daily basis. So you have to, if you want to keep the file automatically to that Universal Content Manager, as it's not a FTP server, you have to call a web service. Oracle has exposed a web service. If you consume the web service, then using the web service, you can place the file into the cloud application systems. That is at Universal Content Manager, which is the one component of the Fusion application. That's a middleware component. It's web center content. We have to upload the file there. To upload the file, we have to call a web service. That is number one. And as I said, once file is there, then next step is to load it into the stage tables. To load into stage tables is nothing but running another ESS job, Enterprise Scheduler Service job. So how do you kickstart Enterprise Scheduler Service job, which is in Fusion applications, from your e-business suite application, from your custom application? How do you execute that? How do you run that? Because cloud is in different system, and it is in different system. They both not sharing same database, same server, anything. But this job, we have to invoke a job which is available in the Fusion application from our custom application, or in our example e-business suite of PeopleSoft. How do you do that? Then again, Oracle has given web service through that web service we can call any ESS job available in the Fusion applications. While calling the ESS job in the Fusion applications, we have to pass the parameters. Based on the parameter, the job will get executed. How do you pass the parameter? We were going to talk about it in a while. And based on the file that has previously loaded, that file will have some content ID. If you pass the content ID to that job, then the job will load that file into the staging tables. The next step is to load the data from staging tables to the base tables. That is again another job. How do you call that job again? Again, using the web service. So if you want to automate whatever process I was saying, whatever a process like loading the file from this system to this system and executing the processes automatically, all that automation can only happen if you develop this, if you execute these web services from your in-house applications. That was, I'm saying, automation of data loading. Okay, so web services, again, it plays a crucial role in the data automating the inbound integrations, especially when they are in the cloud systems. Is that a question?
If you want to consume any file, we have to put it in the UCM number, right?
Yes.
No other.
Yes.
We have.
Yes. So till 2017 December, Oracle, whenever any company purchases the Oracle Fusion, they used to provide SFTP server. They used to provide that, and since January 2018, they decommissioned that. They said we are now more going to give any SFTP server. If you wanted to place any file in the Fusion application, you have to place it in the Universal Content Manager. That's nothing but Web Center content, which is in the Fusion middleware. So yes, you have to do that. Okay. Okay, that is what automation of the
Lakshmi,
data.
Lakshmi,
Yeah,
I have one question, and if you feel that if you can give some thought on the ICS cloud, I think because of the decommission of this FTP server and all, ICS is working, like integration cloud services. If we have
correct.
the knowledge of something, we can throw it something for the group.
Sure.
It will be helpful. ICS.
Yeah, of course. I will definitely cover that integration cloud services for sure. So I will take a separate session for that. Basically, for people wondering what is ICS, integration cloud service is nothing but it's actually another middleware component comes along with the PaaS model, platform as a service. So
And
platform,
yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. If we
Your
bought a
voice is
platform,
breaking.
is my voice breaking? Uh, am I clear? Let me
Yeah,
know
yeah,
if you.
very clear.
Yeah, you're clear. You're clear.
Yeah, you're clear.
Oh,
So can you continue? Yeah.
sure. Right. So, as I was saying, we have something called integration cloud service. Is actually a component of the platform as service Fusion Fusion application model. In platform as service, Oracle has given something called ICS, Integration Cloud Service. If we use Integration Cloud Service, what typically happens is, when I was talking about whatever I'm saying here is SaaS model. Okay. So here, what I'm saying, I was talking about invoking a web service in the Fusion application to load a file or to invoke an ESS job or whatever you wanted to. So those activities can be taken care by the ICS if we have the ICS component licensing available in the Fusion applications. What integration cloud service will do, whatever activities we have to do here, we have to develop here, those activities, most of those activities can be automated using integration cloud service, because integration cloud service is a part of the Fusion middleware, and that integration cloud service has all the web services which are understandable by the Fusion applications, and the way we wanted to execute that is will become very easy if we have the ICS. And that ICS will take care of sending the data back to whatever system you want it to. And the to and fro momentum will become much easier if we have that licensing purchased. To have that license separately, that should be in the platform as service model. So I will demonstrate on a few use cases with ICS how much easy we can do. Uh, but in this SaaS model, we will see how we can develop from our in-house. I want to show some demonstration, some use case. I will develop some. I will call some web services from my computer, and I will create some files in my computer, and I will send those files from my computer to Fusion applications, and I will trigger enterprise ESS jobs from my computer. So we will see all those demonstrations using from my system, and after that we will see if we use ICS how easy it will be to do whatever things we have done. So I will cover that as well in a separate session maybe. And again, we don't have a PaaS application. Whatever we have is SaaS application, so we may not execute it, but I will give some brief idea on how it works. Okay. Right.
And one more thing, Lakshmi, are we going to see one example for each of these scenarios, so it will be
Yes.
helpful for us?
Yes. Of course, we will be seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll be seeing the.
So, Lakshmi, if you can brief on the JCS, because JCS is also picking in the market. If you can explain, if you have
Right.
JCS
So as
part?
part of JCS, we are actually covering the ADF, Application Development Framework.
Okay.
JCS nothing but Java Cloud Service.
Okay.
So I am actually in process of preparing some documentation around that JCS as well. So if we use the um, basically at what point of time, what things we needed, when we need JCS, when we need VBCS, when we need Apex, uh, I will try to give some background about that as well. So don't
If
worry
not
on
on the
that.
new thing, at least you can throw some knowledge so that the team can grab it.
Sure. So yeah, the ADF, the reason I'm covering ADF because yes, because Java Cloud Service has getting a prominent role, and that's why I was covering ADF. So if we cover the ADF means we covered 80% of Java Cloud Services, and remaining 20% is all about integration. So we'll talk about that too. Okay. Okay. So yeah, and again when the automating of this file-based data loading, whatever I was talking about, those things can be done here. That is typically called ERP cloud integration services, or SOAP or REST web services. Everything is same. And I was telling it's not about only automation. There is more using this. Okay, so I will give another scenario. Okay, thus the use case what I told is loading the file into the universal content manager and triggering the job 1 and job 2. That is use case 1. Think of a use case 2 like uh, we have an employee is created here. Okay, and whenever an employee is created here in our company, what happens when employee is hired here, that employee record should go to the Microsoft Active Directory in our company. Why? Because in Microsoft Active Directory in my company, I have to create the user account for that person and send that user account back to the Fusion applications. Then whoever employee is there, that employee can log in with the user account and able to access Fusion applications. Maybe at the first day, they have to fill their personal information or their direct deposit information or their benefits information, whatever. Okay. Think of like that we have a company policy that on the first employee, on the day employee joins, we will be creating the user account. Okay, so example, employee get hired immediately, that record should go to the Microsoft Active Directory, and once the account is created, this record should immediately go back to the Fusion. If this record, the immediately after creating the user account in our Microsoft user directory, wherever, that record should go immediately back to the Fusion applications. If you go with a file-based loader, typically we will be scheduled it to run every night or every 6 hours or every 12 hours. I mean, there's a latency, basically latency between these two systems. And if we have a requirement that there should not be any latency between the two systems, there should not be any gap. As and when some action happens here, that action should immediately show up here. If that is what our requirement, there should not be any time gap. If that is the case, then what Oracle Fusion has done, Oracle Fusion also exposed some business component web services to the outside world. Example, create user is one web service. So if whatever system it is, that system can call the create user web service in the Fusion applications to create a user in the Fusion. Right? So if you get a user account here, if you want to load the user account back to Fusion, typically what you need to do, you have to create user here. That web service is already exposed by the Fusion applications. And what all you need to do is just need to consume that web service by passing these parameters. Once you pass the parameters and call the web service, automatically user account will be created. So if you wanted to have a dynamic interaction with the system, then you have to go to the web services again. So that is again, web services will play a prominent role there. Okay, so automations and dynamic interactions can be done using the web services, and we have two kinds of web services available by the Fusion, that is SOAP web services and REST web services. Okay, so I will try to give a brief introduction about the web services, and then I will provide some demonstration about loading the file-based loader, loading the files using the web services, and invoking the jobs in this Fusion applications, and we'll do that. And if time allows, we will also see calling the objects using web services and loading the data. Okay, right. And we have covered the specialized data loaders, typically, which is nothing but a spreadsheet data loader.
In the brief first, what are the limitations on this also? If you have any limitations, so
Limitations means whatever web services Oracle has offered, only those web services has to be consumed. If there is any object which is not given by the Oracle, then we cannot consume that web service. Example, create location is already there. Example, you want to create a location in the Fusion applications, and if that object web service is not given by the Oracle, then we cannot do that. We cannot call that web service. So we have to send a file, or we have to do it manually, or if it is any spreadsheet loader or a component, we have to do that. We cannot do that using web service. That is it means we have
I cannot create a web service and call it in the ESS job.
In the SaaS model you cannot.
Okay.
Yeah. So you cannot do that. So only you can consume what Fusion is offering out of the box. Just whatever is offering out of the box, just use it and use it from here. And typically what happens, what Oracle asks is, Oracle say if you need a web service, and if many companies need that object to be created as a web service, and they're creating it on the need basis. Basically, for every release, they are releasing bunch of business objects as web services actually. So that's what's happening. And if you have a PaaS model, and again you have a provision to create your own web service for any object, whatever you are looking for, and you can use that. And another use of the web services here is typically if you wanted to think of a scenario, another business use case, like you have a PaaS model example, and you have Fusion application, and you want to create your own custom page. Example, I'm saying in your own custom page, and in that custom page you want to use the Fusion components. Okay, example, we have a ledger information in your custom page. You have to pull the ledger information and search for the ledger information and display it and do some other actions, whatever. So if you wanted to achieve that, the way Oracle says is, Oracle asks us to implement is typically in our custom systems, in our legacy systems, typically how we used to do, I'm just muting you all. In our legacy systems, how we used to do, we used to share the same database. As we have this access to that database, we go to the database and we get the tables, and from the tables we used to get the information and display on the page. But what Oracle recommends is, if you want to go with a custom page, on that custom page, if you wanted to show up the information, and if you wanted to create the information or update the information or delete the information or stitch the information, for everything, use the web service and develop that page. That's what Oracle recommends. Whatever, because for create, update, delete, search, we have web services for everything. Use those web services and create a page, and then deploy the page into the Fusion applications. That's what Oracle recommends, the way of implementing that. So that if you do that, then as we are not touching the Fusion databases, it will be upgradation free. Basically, whenever upgrade happens, it won't be intact, because we are actually consuming the web service. Web service nothing but a Java program or any program built on top of the database tables. So database tables are intact and only the programs are being consumed. So Oracle recommends that way of creating the custom pages in the Fusion applications in the SaaS model. Okay.
So you mean to say that whatever we have created, it will not move to when it upgrades, right?
Yes. That's why Oracle recommends to consume web services. Okay, so yeah, that's another example. Anyway, we'll cover it when I talk about user interface. I'm just telling how many ways we can use web services in the Fusion applications. Right. Now let us see. Today, let us talk about spreadsheet data loading. So I will talk about a couple of use cases and see how does it work. Right. So spreadsheet data loader. So basically, the Excel spreadsheet is utilized to provide a simple and convenient interface to load small to medium amounts of data. The main use of the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, and different product areas have incorporated spreadsheet data loader into their offerings to enable the upload of specific business objects. As I was saying, different product areas, not every product area and every business object has this spreadsheet. Okay, so look at jobs has the spreadsheet, and another business object may not have spreadsheet. So Oracle has enabled spreadsheets only on some offerings and only on some product areas. Okay, example, if in the finance supply chain management, you can create the journals in the spreadsheet. You can create the subledgers in the spreadsheet. In the HR, we can create jobs in the spreadsheet. You can create locations in the spreadsheet. You can create legal entities in the spreadsheet. Okay, but you cannot create departments in the spreadsheet. So in that case, we have to, wherever spreadsheet data loader is not being offered, then we have to go with the file-based data loader. Okay, so yeah, everything has that own limitations. Right. So, and data is inserted into the predefined workbooks in a flattened rows, and add-in forms a gateway to transfer the data from MS Office to Fusion schema. Okay, so it will download into an Excel sheet, and once you download an Excel sheet, once you modify it, and when we send it data back to the Fusion, typically we have add-in plugin called ADFDI. ADF data integrator. That plugin will have inbuilt web services to call from our Excel sheets to load data into the Fusion database schema. We have the inbuilt services. That's why we have to install this plugin in our Microsoft Excel, so that this plugin will take care of the transactions between the Excel sheet and the Fusion database schema. Okay, so before using any of the spreadsheet loaders, you have to install ADI add-in, and it enables the desktop integration with Excel spreadsheets to manage data into cloud applications. So where do you get that ADFDI? Typically, to get ADFDI plugin is available in the Fusion application itself. Go to the navigator, go to the tools, more, and go to the tools. Within the tools, we have something called download ADF desktop integrator. Just download the plugin. So just download the plugin and install it. Actually, it's already installed in my computer. I may need to log out and log in. So typically we need to get that using this download desktop integrator plugin. And once you download that, extract that zip file and run the installation.exe. Once you install that, and typically it is recommended to have Microsoft Excel as 2007, 10 or 2013, and 32-bit is recommended, but you can use 64-bit. My computer is 64-bit, Microsoft 7 or 8, and it is working for 10 as well nowadays. So once you have that and install in your computer, typically then you have to set some options in the Excel. So typically I'm going to my Excel sheet. So typically,
how do we recognize that whether the spreadsheet is available for the specific activity or not? How do we get it information?
So what business object we have the spreadsheet letter available? Is that the question?
Yeah. What are the, for example, locations you told that it is available? How
right.
What are
so
available?
Oracle has already given that list of things what we have available. I think I mentioned somewhere for FSCM I have mentioned. Yeah, these are the list of ADF template what Oracle is offering out of the box. It's already given in the documentation, but HR I haven't mentioned anywhere. So yes, it is given by the Oracle documentation itself. They will mention what templates you can do in Excel sheet.
Okay. Lakshmi, can you find it through the application or database?
No, we cannot. From application, we don't have a single interface, user interface to look at what are all the things it is available. But there is another thing apart from this. Whatever I was talking about called specialized data loaders. Whatever I'm showing, right? Go into the location and create location spreadsheet. It's called specialized data loader. We have something else called spreadsheet data loader, where actually we can create spreadsheet for our components. Example, let us say, as I said, department doesn't have the spreadsheet, create from spreadsheet. In that case, there is some feature. It is available in the HR, actually not yet came into the FSCM. In that HR module, what we can do, whatever objects we don't have spreadsheets defined by Oracle in that screens, we can define our own whatever object we needed, we can define spreadsheets for them actually. That is a provision given by the Oracle only for the HR module now. Maybe they release it for finance. So we can create our own spreadsheet data loading for whatever business objects we need in the HR module. And whatever is there within the screen, actually, that is not something we can figure out from the front end or from the database. Something we have to rely on the Fusion documentation, or it come through experience. Okay, so I'm going to cover both the scenarios, specialized loaders and our custom spreadsheet data loader. I'm going to cover both. So once you install that plugin, typically you have to do some settings in the Excel sheet. You have to go to options, and then you go to trust center settings, and I'm just meeting in the add-ins, don't disable add-ins, and then in the macro settings, enable all macros and trust access to VBA project model. So these three settings you have to make sure they're available here. Then only whatever plugin we installed in Excel, those plugins will work appropriately, because this Excel sheet has to communicate with the Fusion applications. To communicate with the Fusion application, the restrictions over the Excel sheet should be taken away. That's why I have mentioned the steps here. What steps we need to do to make sure our Excel sheet is working properly. Okay, and again, this ADF DI, whenever any upgrades happens, you need to make sure the ADF DI actually get upgraded. And in that case, you have to remove your old ADF DI plugin and install the new ADF DI plugin. From release 13 onwards, typically what happens whenever you open any spreadsheet data loader, it will automatically pops up a window saying that your ADF DI is the old version, can I upload it? So you can click on OK, it will automatically upload it. Okay, so let's do that. So as we have seen jobs before, so I'm again going to job screen. In the work structure, in the jobs will be in the my workforce and work structures to create a job, actually employee job. Okay, so I'm going.
A quick question: like, how do we identify in this page that whether there's an DFF or KFF is available? Like in this specific page, manage function example.
Okay, okay. So DFFs will be available in almost all the business objects, right? So if any flex fields are defined for that specific business object, in our instance, we have something called highlight flex fields in this settings, something called highlight flex fields. If you open the business object and click on the highlight flex fields, it will show up what flex fields are available on that screen. Example, if I go to manage jobs, if I search for any job, that's out of topic, so I'm just trying to cover it quickly.
Because even though we know the concept, we are not able to identify what are the
Okay.
things are available on the page.
So this flex fields and value sets, those covered in the functional classes?
It is covered, but we are not
Okay.
able to understand where it is got enabled.
Okay. Okay. So typically, once you go to the screen, we have to go to this drop down and just click on highlight flex fields. Once you highlight the flex fields, if any flex field is defined in this page, typically then a settings icon will be enabled there. So once that icon is enabled, and it also mentioned what flex fields have been created. So there's no flex fields have been created in this screen, but it will say that if you wanted to create a flex field, just go to the settings, configure the descriptive flex fields, and you can add the segments here. If any segments are already added, typically it will show the segments name here. So only one DFF is available in this screen. And similarly, if you go to the screen where KFF is available, that will show the KFF field as well.
Can you enter the journal screen? Can you go to the journal screen? There will be definitely KFF. We can
Sure.
have please.
Okay. So shall we take that later, because we're deviating off the topic.
Please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So coming back, see here. Now what I'm trying to do here. So the flex fields we'll talk it later. So as I was telling about loading the data using the Excel sheets, right? So see here in the jobs, apart from create button, we have something called create in spreadsheet. Okay. Similarly, if you go to manage positions, there you don't see the drop down icon here. It means we cannot create the position in the spreadsheet. If you go to this manage grades business object, in this manage grades business object, we don't have the icon to create the spreadsheet. But if you go to manage locations, to create location, you have an option for the business object. So it means for the positions and the grades and departments also, I don't think we have option to create. Yeah, we have option to create as well. So in these five business objects, Oracle haven't given provision to create business objects for grades and positions using the spreadsheet. Okay, but for remaining business object, they have given option to create the spreadsheet. Okay, so now I'm going here. I have shown you how to create a location by going to the screen, but I want to create through a spreadsheet. Typically, then what you need to go to click here, create in spreadsheet, then it will ask to open it. While opening it, it will pop up. Yeah, I think it's opening in my other computer. Okay, let me do that. It's opening in the other screen. Open to it again. Create in spreadsheet, and I'm clicking on OK. So now it is, let me share my computer too. Okay, you can see my screen, right? So it will ask you are about to connect to the following URL. So it will ask to enter our credentials basically. So we have to enter the credentials so that we are going to connect to the Fusion applications from our Excel sheet. So if you have ID on Web ADI, similar to the same concept, it is that. So let me get the password. So I'm giving some administrative username, password. Okay, so I'm logging in. So I know logged in. Okay, so let me bring it back to I logged in. Okay, so here, can typically, this is the spreadsheet where actually we can create the data, and so we can enter the start date here. So typically Oracle format to enter the date is actually I will give 2000, sorry, I think it's effective date. So I'm giving the date as YYY hyphen MM and hyphen DD, something like this. Something is wrong.
You told that we can change the date format also by personalize something. So
In
we
the
can
application,
we can
actually.
do that also here if we change.
No, not in the spreadsheet. We have to do it in the application.
Okay.
So job set basically is a common set. It's actually something our functional team will give. It's called reference sets basically. So reference sets actually say that it will group the work structures together. I'm going to give the job as RB.
Lakshmi, in spreadsheet, it will do data validation also.
Spreadsheet, some components, some spreadsheet business objects will do the validations, and some of them won't do the business validations. Example, for all FSCM, it do the business validations, but some of the business objects out of the HCM module doesn't do that. Example, if we have job set, typically we'll get a drop down list here, and we can choose our list from this drop down. Basically, if it is data validation is available. So there is depending upon the each business object. I think it is, if they're still evolving it, maybe one point of time they will do it for everything. Example, if it's the status here, they have given the validation here, active, inactive, but they haven't given it for the common set here. Basically here actually they should have given the drop down with all the different job sets available in the Fusion application. They haven't given that, so it depends. So RB. Okay, so I think I'll just give you the mandatory details. I'm not giving anything else. Okay, so I will just try to upload now. So it will say
Lakshmi,
that, yeah.
could you please add one more row?
Yeah, so I will add it. If you wanted to add one more row in this screen, basically the way we need to do, just select this one, okay, and identify how many rows you are planning to add. So just whatever close number, if you want to add 2 more rows, just drag it here and right click and click on insert. It will create those many rows here, okay, and then add. If you want, you can copy the same thing and I'm going to change the name, job 2, job 3, job 4, job 2, job 4. Okay, so you add that. You can add more information if you want. See that validation available in this column actually. Full-time, part-time, full-time, part-time. Okay, whenever you change any information, an icon will come up like this. It means the row is changed. Okay, so now you can upload the data. While uploading the data, you will be seeing that on failure, do you want to upload the subsequent rows? If I say yes, it means it will, if the first row fails, it will go to the next row, next row, and next row. Whenever a row get uploaded, row status will change. What is the status of that row? That is number one. And number two,
one mistake anywhere the date format or something so that we can observe any issues already. Make a mistake.
here. So let us say I wanted to do as something like this. Okay, job set which is not available in the system, something like that. Okay, now upload it. Let's do that. So now it goes successfully, and this row is not fail. It is failed. If you click on that one, it will say here the value of the attribute job set is not valid. So make sure specifically the attribute set ID is job application module and job flat DI. So it means job set is not valid. So what I will do, I will go here and I will modify it here.
No, whether it has loaded the line number 1 or not now, because it was
It's loaded. It's load insert successfully, right? It's loaded.
okay.
So if you go to the system now, so what is that? RB Tech 3 job 2. If you go to the system now and if you search for that, you will see that job because it's already loaded. It's loaded. It's already loaded. But if you see the job 3, it won't be there. So job 2 is already loaded successfully with the necessary information. It's there, it's loaded. Okay, now I click on done, and if we go for the job 3 search, it's not available because it's not loaded. Now what I will do, I will go and correct it. Whenever I correct it, this arrow icon will come up. So it means this row and this row is not modified, only this row is modified. Now if I do upload, then I am saying that it is going to upload only this row. It's not going to touch any of the remaining rows because they're not flagged as changed. Only one row is changed. Okay, just click on OK. Then it will upload and say it is successful, no error and no error. So it means all the records got successfully loaded. If we have any descriptive flex field created in this, if any descriptive flex fields are created, then typically we will have DFF reference sheet, which will say which attribute we have the DFF created, and what is the description of the DFF segment, and what context code, everything like that. It will mention that. Basically, if we have the DFF defined on the screen. Okay, so as we don't have any DFFs defined on this screen, we are not seeing anything in that. Okay, so
it needs to be a little more extension to the web ADI. Right?
Yes, exactly. Mostly same as web ADI, but web ADI we have a provision to have our own custom web ADIs. But in this case, we have to use whatever we have coming out of the box.
Yeah, this reminds me that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Lakshmi, do we have a provision that committing and rollbacking the rows, like if any row has been failed, can we roll back the previous rows also, or previous recorded rows also?
So for that is the reason the committing and rollback example. Let me modify something like that I'm creating. Let me create I'm not touching it. So if you see here, okay, the committing and rollback mechanism will be controlled while uploading it. While uploading it, what you wanted to do. On failure, continue to upload subsequent rows. It means you have this is the control which typically you have to achieve whatever you're looking for. So typically there's no mechanism anywhere in this Excel sheets typically to do the rollback, anything like that.
But it is not controlling the previous uploaded records, no? Like it is going to be control only the future records.
Exactly, yes, that's true. That's true. That's all we can do, but we cannot have that level of control of the whole transaction level. For that, we have other mechanism, something I'm going to talk about later. Because there is some other mechanism if you wanted to upload information the other way, other spreadsheet loaders are there, where typically we created data sets with list of data lines on which we wanted to upload, and we will just keep it in a temporary tables. And then whenever we have all the information is accurate and we feel accurate, and that is the time we will go and do the upload. Till that point of time, we'll maintain that data set, and whenever you open the data set, it automatically downloads all the data set information into the Excel sheet. But even there, we don't have a mechanism like commit and rollback at Excel sheet level, so we don't have that mechanism.
Okay, but do we have feasibility like update deletion also? Like as of now, we are seeing only creation.
Correct, we can update as well. So example, job one is there, it's already there in the system, so I'm going to update it. So I'm going to update it as a full-time now, or I'm going to make it as inactive. I'm going to make it as inactive as of from tomorrow, from tomorrow onwards. Yeah. Okay, so here I'm going to create 3 and updating 1. Okay, so if I go and upload, it will go ahead. If it is already available, it will go ahead and oh, it's still not updated. Oh, okay, sorry. In this screen, we have something called edit. So we have something called edit actually. In this edit, we have the mechanism to, wait. Yeah, there's no edit spreadsheet. So if you wanted to edit the data, and again, we have to rely on the file-based data loader. File-based data interface, file-based loader to do the edit for the information. We don't have mechanism. If you see the object they have created is for the create interface, they haven't given anything for the update or delete. For updations and deletions, again, we have to rely on file-based data loading. Okay.
And can we see one more example with headers and lines, how it goes? Like if we have multiple lines, one line is having one issue, any error, other lines will be get committed.
Okay, so that I'm going to show that for headers and lines. Yeah, I'm going to show that. I'm going to take that as the next use case basically. So for that, before going to that use case, let me cover one more use case in this scenario, which is useful for us.
Lakshmi,
uh-huh.
Approximately how many rows we can insert from this spreadsheet?
That's a good question. I never had any problem with. I tried up to 10,000. I don't had any issue, but I'll check back on that.
Actually, Excel sheet has a limit up to 1 lakh or 70,000 per sheet.
Correct. Excel sheet has limitation. I just want to check how much Fusion can take it. Okay. So before going to headers and lines use case, let me cover the another use case. Typically, yesterday I was saying that if you wanted to load in the finance model, basically FSCM, I was saying that to give access to any job role to any user, typically we assign the data context to the user, basically based on for that role, we are going to give access to this ledger or this business unit kind of thing. We have went to the screen yesterday and manually assigned the data context here. Basically, we have given the user here, and for that user, for that role, for that context, what is the value? We have given that, right? So now let me show the example. Yeah, it won't be here because I'm in users without data access. Typically for financial analyst role, RB, we already given the data access role here. I need to go to this tab. Let me take some another user. Some another user. And let me take any role assigned to that user. Some compensation analyst. And then what is the context here? So if context is business unit, and what is the context value? So for this person, for this role, give access to this business unit, right? So think of in a real world scenario, we have around 100 financial users, and for 100 financial users we have to define the security context for 15 ledgers. So maybe one user may have the combination, may need access to 5 ledgers, one user may need access to 10 ledgers, one user need access to 1 ledger. So the combination of these will be more. So if you want to upload those many combinations at one place, typically we cannot keep on adding manually like this. Okay, for that, what Oracle has given in the screen is actually there is something called authorized data access. It's again another specialized spreadsheet loader. Typically we can open that, and here we can do that. We can give all the information in this spreadsheet and do one bulk upload. This is another example where actually we can use spreadsheet data loader from the Fusion applications itself. Okay, so here actually same thing, whatever we have given in the previous screen, username. Typically here we have the data validations available, so we can give the what's every security context and what is the value and username and the role. Example, in my security same thing. If I replicate here security context and let me take some user, whatever is I'm seeing it here. So I'm taking a.fusion, sorry, in the user, a.fusion, and the role as I will take some role as any role. Compensation manager. So we can have sorry. So here actual validation is available in security context level. So let me give the access to some business unit. Okay. And for the role compensation manager. So now I can upload this information. I'm not uploading it here. And upload this information. I can create n number of combinations like this here, and I can do the bulk upload for all the users, whoever need access to the respective security context. I can do the bulk upload, and I can do the load here. So if something is not properly given, it anyway is going to fail, and it runs successfully, and it is going to show that which one got failed and correct them accordingly. It is one of the things which we will be doing it initially when we're setting up the security for in the FSCM. We have to do the bulk upload. This is one way to do that. So we have to do that. So how do we validate this one? Go to user with data access and look for this user. And search for the user. And we can see that person information got uploaded for a fusion compensation manager business unit. Yes, business unit is available here. This is one of the good example where we need to use spreadsheet data loader at the beginning of our implementation. Okay, so
Actually, where
next
you get it? On plus you get how that has come?
button. This is the button.
Authorization data access. So here we are having that spreadsheet that icon is, I mean, that drop down is that right?
Correct. But here we don't have drop down like that. This is the functionality they have given like that.
Acha, acha, acha. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, case by case, have to do like that. So next class I will start with another use case to load the. I'll start with spreadsheet data loader. The one I was saying we can have, or whenever there is no example department. Sorry, in the grade we don't have the Oracle haven't given the spreadsheet data loader there. In that case, I have another scenario where Oracle in the fusion we can create our own templates there for our own business objects. So in the previous case for the grade there is no template is there, but I can go ahead and create template for the grade in a separate tool called spreadsheet data load. Different tool actually. I'm going to show that. That is one business case we are going to see, and second business case is about loading the headers and lines information as well. So those two cases we will see in the next session, and then we will go further on the file-based data import and HCM data loader, and then we will go with the automation of the data loading. So probably I'm thinking maybe our inbound integration takes little more time, maybe a week or more to cover all these topics. Okay.
Lakshmi?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, while it's like ADF desktop integrator, just by showing, I tried to do that. I also got the same error showing on your desktop.
Okay, so you are not able to download the ADF DI.
Yes. So what can we do? It's like more to troubleshoot.
So you logged in with what is the username you logged in? Same user?
No. RV dot means like whatever I have created mine.
Okay, you have created, right? Okay, so what I will do, I will send out the integrator. So I will send out the plugin to you, to everyone, so that it should not happen. Typically, we need to raise a server with Oracle. Why it is not downloading? So it should not be the case. Typically, contacting Oracle will take some time. So I will send out this whatever plugin I have with me, and you can install that. Okay. In our projects, if it comes like this, then we have to contact Oracle that it's not getting downloaded. I don't see any issue with the security roles. We should have access to this one.
So Lakshmi, right now that managed data set, data access set which you showed, specialized loader, that falls under the category of specialized data loaders, right? Not
yes.
FDI, right?
When I say specialized data loaders, it's also a spreadsheet data loader, basically. Spreadsheet data loader, and it needs ADF DI plugin, and it won't come under FBDI. It's different.
Yeah, because in your diagram you have one rectangle for ADF DI, and the last one is specialized data loaders. So right now, you for specialized, right?
Yeah. So actually, I have to take it out. So I would say should not say this. So you will understand why I'm saying spreadsheet templates in next session. Actually, I will cover why I have taken it out. Apart from this, you can understand next session.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Lakshmi, are you working on SaaS or PaaS at the moment?
So actually I'm working on the SaaS, and the PaaS, actually I'm not working on all the PaaS components, because PaaS components has 45 modules. So I was working on I had worked on ADF Java Cloud Service, and I consumed ICS as well to do some web services. Basically, they too basically most of us use that whenever a need arises.
And over there in the US, SAS is more popular, is it?
Yeah, almost everywhere SAS is more popular.
Than
95%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll meet on Monday, and hope you can have a great weekend.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Same to
Thanks,
you.
Lakshmi. Have a good weekend.
Have a same to you.
Thank you.
Lakshmi?
Yeah.
Once you will send that installer add-in, so just we have to do the steps what you have told in the videos and it will get done.
So once you have that, you just need to install it.
Okay.
Once you install it, make sure in the Excel sheet you have that properties set up accordingly. Okay. The options and trust settings. In the trust center settings, make sure you enable all the macros, and make sure trust access to VBA project object model, and make sure you uncheck the disable application items. If you take care of those three, then try to do a quick download of a spreadsheet from any business object, and try to run it. If it won't work, just restart the system and then do again. It should work.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So any more questions to anyone? So some of you asked for that flex fields and flex fields. So I will cover that later. And geographies also we will see sometime later. Okay. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, then we can drop off. Okay. Bye-bye.